Hello and welcome to this new video. Today we're going to do a replay review and we're watching a replay of Ski. He's a 1400 Setner and he's playing air against Deli, a 2200 rated player. So it's surely an uphill battle and let's see what he did and how he could improve. So you're starting with the standard build order, which is already pretty good. So what I notice already is you're placing the waypoint of your ACU way too close to the hydro. You can place the waypoint here and then you assist the hydro as well as upgrading those maxes, and you just minimize the time where your ACU has to walk. Another thing is, when this engineer comes out, the first thing you do is you make a waypoint to the other side of the factory. Otherwise this engineer has to travel around this factory, and that's problematic because you just waste time. Now this looks okay. What you can improve here is you want to reclaim the minimum amount of trees. So you don't want to reclaim all those trees. You want to reclaim the least amount of trees while not stalling or breaking any trees. That's the ultimate goal. So you can easily go here and ignore this patch of trees. Then you go to this max and you go here, go around, and then you reclaim here. If you do all that, you just waste a long time where your NG doesn't build this factory or doesn't build the max, and this causes just to delay your whole build. So the second NG, you make a wide turn around this patch of trees. What's way better is if you go like this. You reclaim two tree groups here and then you just go like this. And on top of that, then you go like this. In every case you're reclaiming too many trees. That's bad because of, as I've said, you delay your maxes and you delay this expansion factory. But not only that, you also increase the probability of breaking trees, and that makes it just worse. So you're really damaging your eco, or you bring it at least in a pretty big risk. So now the ACU walks, and usually once the ACU is walking you can start upgrading one max. So, and overall those trees has to be reclaimed. Like just look in the BO tutorial again, where I exactly show which tree should be reclaimed at which point. That makes it a lot better, because the problem is not that you're not getting the tree value of the group. The problem is that when you break these trees, the engineer which will be reclaiming here just collecting broken trees, and this delays your whole reclaiming of this whole area. It's not like you're just missing out on a bit of reclaim, you're basically missing out on a lot of reclaim in this area. Yeah, I think I don't have to repeat myself, like just go like this, it's quicker. Also pay attention that those waypoints, I like that you do these waypoints, but then place them where no trees are. Like currently you're walking in trees. You can't afford two maxes, you have to only make one. But overall, like you got the fundamental idea. I'm criticizing a lot, but that's just the difference between very, very high rated players and being a good player. Like those details matter usually only after being like 1900. Before that it's pretty much irrelevant if you reclaim these trees or not. It's more about the fundamental approach, and the fundamental approach, like you you missed, I guess. You just were busy with doing orders here, and now you haven't done a good attack move. Like those issues are problematic, but if you reclaim this tree group or you reclaim this tree group, that doesn't matter on 1800 or even 2K level. It probably doesn't matter. So the issue is you don't want to queue up the whole order at once. Like, that's very difficult to do, and most players can't do that. And you can't do it as well. So you queue up not only too many reclaim orders, but you're also not fast enough to do all of the reclaim orders in one move, because you have 13 seconds until the next engine comes out. So just do half the build, half the order, and then you focus on what the factory or the next engineer has to do, and then you can revisit this engineer and queue up new orders. That's way better than trying to finish the whole queue in once, because then you get lazy and click trees you shouldn't click, and your engineer is breaking more trees, and on top of that you still forget to make the correct attack move. So just split the orders in multiple parts, and just keep in mind that you still have to do these orders. So we can speed it up a bit. So the build order, generally speaking, is about achieving a quick Tech 3 air timing without being a lot behind in eco. And this quick Tech 3 air timing allows you then to abuse the Tech 3 air early on. Like, it's not designed to be very good at the late game, because then you would just go way more for eco instead of early Tech 3. But if you want to be aggressive and you want to abuse this early Tech 3 air advantage, you want to go for this build. The problem is, when you don't execute this build properly, you will lose time and you will lose basically your only advantage. And then you will end up in an eco situation which is worse than compared to other builds, but you also don't have an advantage to abuse because you just didn't execute it properly, so your Tech 3 air timing is behind. So you really have to be focused on what you're doing with this build, because it's either very, very good, or you kind of fuck it up because you can't abuse Tech 3 air. So probably for beginners who just want to have a solid build order, the order version I have on my YouTube channel is a better approach, because you need to be capable of abusing it. So you're making factories. So what I see, you're making 20 engineers from both of these factories. That's way too much. You usually want to make 5 engineers per factory to reclaim all this efficiently. You have to think about, like, if you make 5 more engineers, you reclaim a bit quicker those trees, but you also spend a lot of mass on the engineer itself, and it isn't worth it to go for more than 5 engineers per factory. The only exception is if you, I don't know, if you get labbed or scouts come through and destroy your trees, then you obviously want to react and make more engineers. Otherwise, 5 per engineer factory is the best. Now, what you also see is you're making a lot of mexes with a lot of assistants. And you're doing actually a very good thing here. You're pausing the mex and the engineer. So you try to prioritize mexes that should be built and pause stuff that shouldn't be built. So that's a very good reaction, because in a lot of situations it's not about never fucking up. Like everybody, also me, fucks up builds and fucks up engine movements and you think like, oh, I shouldn't have started this max. That's normal and that's common. The question is just, how do you react to it? A lot of players just notice, oh, I fucked up, I'm stalling 40 mass per second at this early stage, and I just wait until something is finished. What a good player does is they say, okay, this max upgrading isn't as important as now finishing this max. Like this max is 50% and has more assistance than this max at 20% with less assistance. So let me finish this and then go on to this. So that was a good reaction. You should keep that. And also what I recommend you is the mod of Azot for instant assist. Then you immediately do with all your assist commands the interrupt pathfinding hotkey. So your engineers don't like align themselves around the factory, but rather they just stay where they were and instantly assist the factory. So that's a very, very, very good hotkey mod you should install. So now everything, even though I've said a lot, everything is pretty decent and pretty good and a lot better than what most 1400s would do actually. I don't agree with the radars. Like, look at what the radars do for you. Here won't be a proxy. If a proxy will be somewhere, then it will be here. And everything has vision. Like, where should anything come through where you don't see it? Like, you have everywhere vision. If something comes like here, you can't see it with the radar either. And nowhere else can anything really slip through. So these radars are kind of useless, and especially if you have a very tight and very close build order, very efficient and perfect build order, those radars will break your neck and you will stall power. So you shouldn't do that, in my opinion. I mean, at your level, this won't cause a loss, right? The issues are way bigger than a lot of the issues I describe here, or the problems, or the recommendations. Like, all those things aren't the things that really cause a loss. But the issue is that if you have a lot of small problems, like a lot of stalling, and then you make a radar which you don't need, and you reclaim a bit less efficient, you're breaking a few too many tree groups, and you break them and you reclaim too many, so your maxes are delayed. Like, all those little errors, they just accumulate, and then out of these tiny bits, you might think it's not that important. You end up in a situation where you are significantly behind. But overall, this looks pretty decent, I would say. It's a common bug that if you have the orders queued up before having the Tech2 HQ, it like delays it by quite a lot, like 5 seconds or so, until the factory starts. So what I usually do is I just keep track of when my Tech2 HQ is finished, and at the time when it finished, I click the Tech2 engineers. But that said, you should only do it as long as you have the attention to do it. If you don't have the attention to do it, just keep it like it is, because you might have to manage other things that are more important, like moving attack moves. So this engineer should make PGen. Also, what you see is you're moving the engineers, like the attack move to the next destination is too close to the trees. You break the tree groups, so that's an issue. Another issue are these manual reclaim orders. You should never do them. If you lose a reclaim order, it's way better to send these engineers to a max to upgrade it, or whatever. Like, this engineer could go here and assist this max. This engineer could like manually reclaim if you have the time for it and assist this max. So the issue is you're breaking more trees than what you actually reclaim. So you shouldn't do that. And again, here the mod with the instant assist would be very helpful, because like you lose a lot of time just by idling these engineers. At this point I would just reclaim the factories. Like you are mass stalling and you have surely enough engineers to reclaim, so just reclaim the factories. Now, when I see this, like I would have already moved these engineers out of the way. The issue is you waste a lot of time with these pathfinding. I mean, you're not starting the pigeon yet. I mean, you're probably not even trying to. Well, you do, but you make a mercy, so it's fine that you assist the air factory. But I would have just moved these engineers away and then assist an engineer or use the mod, and you don't have the issues. So now you're sending the mercy like this. That's not a really good routing, because a mercy has basically 0 HP, like 90 HP. It's instantly dead. So when you send it like this, it will most likely be catched by some random scouts or frigates like here. And even if the enemy is very passive, latest time where it gets spotted is like in this area. So that's still plenty of time for his interceptors to reach your mercy. This won't work, right? You have to abuse the lack of intel of the enemy to really make a mercy worth. I mean, he's making a AA, so I doubt that you've seen that, but probably you did, so you overthought your routing. But usually you should go like this. So you have you just hope that it doesn't get spotted. Now, you're very lucky because this is the enemy. There is not a single interceptor for the enemy out. So you are very lucky that the enemy is a pretty big idiot. So like now it can actually work, because front and rock is one position and he's fighting here. The beach player doesn't have any inties, and the air player obviously doesn't have any inties either. So now it can work. So now you're making Tech 3 Air Factory while having only one Tech 2 Pigeon. And that's, generally speaking, that can be fine. The issue is that, like as I said, it's not an issue to fuck up, it's an issue to not reacting to the fuck ups. And what we're seeing here is you're stalling power. And you never change your focus from the air factory to the pigeon. Like just rush with all this, the pigeon and then the air factory. That's way quicker and you end up with way more mass compared to this approach. Like just fix your issues first and then do the air factory. So yeah, overall, like all these small issues like breaking trees, not expanding as efficient as you could, and stuff like that, all these things add up to you being quite significantly behind on mass. Like you're still on a lot of Tech 1 maxes, and you're also not really in a good timing. So you've crippled your eco essentially, and your timing wasn't good either to compensate your crippling. So what you want to do is like just study the BO again, and yeah, just learn every movement and every attack move, and yeah, that's kind of something you have to learn, or you just go for the other build order and it's more safe to execute. But now you're in a pretty bad position, because you have less eco than your enemy, and you don't really have an air timing which allows you to abuse it. As you can see, he's also tech 3, but he has a lot more eco. So that's an issue. Usually you want to be at like minute 8 tech 3 HQ and full tech 2, just to give you a... And now you see the issue again. You're not manually moving these engineers away. And what's happening, it's now 8:45 where the engineer came out. The pigeon is still not started here, by the way. We can speed this up. This just... You don't manually fix the pathfinding. So now it's 9:25. So it's 40 seconds later. You were 30 seconds ahead of the meta build. Like the meta build is minute 9, you were minute 8:30 tech 3 air. You lost 40 seconds by just initiating the tech 3 pigeon, so you're actually behind the meta build just because you didn't fix the pathfinding manually. So that's a pretty big issue right there. So yeah, you're stalling mass because you didn't just because your eco scaling wasn't that good. You reclaim the land factory right away after you made the tech 3 engineer. That is good. And you pause everything but the pigeon, which is also a good decision. But now you see it's minute 10 and you have your tech 3 pigeon. And your total mass is 32k. So usually you're at 38,000 mass at this time, and you crippled yourself quite a lot with that. And you have zero benefits of doing this. Like you don't even have an earlier tech 3 air timing. So that's a big build order issue. So what you're doing now is you immediately start to scale your air grid. And generally speaking, there are two approaches on how to play air. Either you play very eco heavy, and then you just make tech 3 maxes, and then you don't need a second tech 3 pigeon so early. Another approach is to play aggressively. But there's also an issue if you want to play aggressively, and I suppose you do because you have multiple air factories and pigeons planned, then you don't go immediately for a second tech 3 pigeon. The reason is you have here, like with those, probably 150 build power combined, dispatched from the air factory. You take 150 build power from this air factory and assist the tech 3 pigeon. So that means that you have 150 build power less in spamming ASF, right? And this causes you to not have as many ASF as the other player, even though he goes for an eco-heavy gameplay, because he's just normally assisting his normal HQ, and you're not. You have all your build power away from the factory. So he will produce more ASF currently than you do, and you want to play aggressively. So what you want to do instead is, usually I place my tech 3 pigeon here, then I place 4 e-storages here, and then I assist with all these engineers completely my air HQ. This can secure me the early air win, and then when I do my damage here, I have a strat and I fight air or whatever, then I can start to scale my air grid slowly. that is a better approach, because if you do it correctly, it basically looks like this. You ramp up your production early on, while the enemy air player is making Tech 3 maxes. So you have a bigger production early on, and this early ASF advantage you can use to deal damage, to use strats, to use gunships, to actually put the enemy under pressure. And then over the course of time, the enemy air has more eco, so he will be able to produce more ASF and he will catch up, and at some point it's just the enemy time frame where he has the leading hand. And you want to try to have the biggest amount of impact you can possibly get within this little time frame. So now what you did is this. You dispatched all your build power from your HQ. That means that you have less build power early on making ASF, so you have less ASF than the enemy air. Then you ramp up your production with your air grid, so you have more production, and there is your time frame. But then the eco catches up of the enemy air player and he catches up again. So when you immediately start to scale your air grid, you simply shrink your time frame. You shrink your effective time frame at the beginning. You give the eco player early on the ASF advantage. And that's all time you could possibly harass the enemy player. But you decided to scale your air grid and lose all this valuable time of your time frame, and so this is a bad approach. You should assist this HQ very heavily. And on top of that, you're also making Tech 3 maxes. Early on you can never make Tech 3 maxes and air grid. Like, you can't scale your air grid and your Tech 3 maxes, it's just too expensive. You're seeing you're stalling 250 mass. This can't work. This isn't a good scaling. So you have to decide, either I scale air grid or I scale Tech 3 maxes. So what I would do is just assist this factory and make all my mass storages, and then at some point I just normally start this max, don't Ctrl K it, I just normally start this max and slowly let it upgrade. So I can use all my mass and still produce a lot of ASF. So now this Tech 3 max is actually really bad, because now you're not only having a small time frame as I've just showed you, you also delayed it even further. Like, you're not getting back. So he has more eco now, he has probably more ASF. You have one ASF. I suppose there was an air fight I missed. But Didi has more ASF than you. He has also more eco than you. And now how do you want to rescue this? Like, there's a player with better air micro, with better scaling, with more eco and more ASF. Like, you are in a pretty bad position. This is very hard to rescue at this point for you. But for now, I want to take a step back and talk about how to make the decision whether you go for aggressive airplay or whether you go for eco-heavy gameplay. And in order to do that, you have to get a better understanding of the role of the air player in the grand scheme of the game. So, as the air player, and as well as the front player, you are the support role. Your job is to support the Navy player as best as possible in whatever they are trying to do. Because the main objective, the main goal, is to win these spawns. That's number one priority. So, and you can try to do that single-handedly, but you will miserably fail. That is because when you try to play for yourself and you just play aggressively and ignoring whatever your players, your Navy players are doing, then you might deal damage and you might you might deal damage, you might drop something or you stretch something, and that's generally speaking good. The issue is that the Navy player can't really make use of this momentum. He can't really make this to a leverage, like he can't leverage on this advantage you gave him. And second of all, what you're doing is you are fighting essentially a 1v1, right? You as the air player versus the rock player. The Navy player here is completely irrelevant. And the air player here, you've won air. So this is irrelevant either. Irrelevant too. So now you fight here, the 1v1. And fast forward 5 minutes, this air player will actually catch up to your ASF numbers and will get the upper hand. So now this happens. Now your Navy player is in a 2v1 situation. Let's ignore front for a second. So now he's in a 2v1 situation and he's under very big pressure, right? So if you don't time your time frame according to what the Navy player is doing, you run into the issues that you fight a 1v1 here and your Navy player ends up in a 2v1 situation here. But if you time your time frame according to what the Navy player is doing, you can create this. You can create a 2v1 situation in favor for yourself. And that's exactly what you want to create. Now, I want to show you a simple decision tree which can help you to spot the right time frame in which you want to act. So first of all, the split is if both navies going eco or aggressive, then it's relatively easy, right? If both players playing eco heavy, you obviously going for an eco heavy gameplay. And if both players play aggressive gameplay, you obviously go for aggressive gameplay. And the question is, who would you assist then in this situation, right? And you want to assist the player with the highest possibility of winning their pawn. So when the rock player has a higher possibility of winning the bottom pawn because he is rock and he is probably even higher rated, then you want to assist this pawn. You want to really leverage on this advantage. There is only one exception to this rule. This exception is if the Navy player could win by themselves. So let's look at the actual game. We have VIP on rock. He is a 2300 rated player against a random 1300 rated player. Like, you can safely assume that VIP is going to win, right? So you don't have to worry about it. You just have to adjust yourself. Like, even if Daily wins air and helps the beach player, it's pretty sure that VIP is still going to win. So this is out of your attention. You don't have to focus on this because VIP manages to win this game, his lane here. So your focus is here. You want to win the other lane then. So now, what is the case when one player plays eco heavy and the other plays aggressive? And then you ask the same question: who has the higher possibility of winning their pawn in the given time frame? So for example, the beach player might be trying to push the beach player, the 1300. He's trying to push now, but the probability that he will actually win his pawn is quite low. And if you have on the other side eco heavy player, 2k heavy eco heavy players, then the probability that he will win is quite high. So you want to eco more so that you can later on assist what the rock player is doing and ignoring what the beach player is doing even though he's aggressively pushing, as long as the rock player isn't 100% safe that he will win even without your help. So that's the general decision making you want to question yourself, you want to ask yourself while playing the game. Now let's have a look at the actual Navy situation in that game. So you have VIP 2300 on Rock, and you have Nutterbeer, who is a 1300 random on Beach. So first of all, VIP is a Rock, so he has more eco. Second of all, he is 1000 rating higher than the enemy. So you can safely assume that VIP will win his lane. On the other hand, you see at the top pond, it's two bases, well, there's these two bases, but this is Rock and mid, and this is Beach and mid. So this might be problematic, and player quality wise, it's probably equal or a bit in favor of the bottom team. So here you have a slight disadvantage, here you have a giant advantage, and now the air situation. That's the biggest issue, right? Because here is where the game becomes balanced, and you as a 1400 are against Delhi as a 2200. So that means that you should help your team in a different way than usually. Usually, as I've pointed out, you want to find your time frame in which you want to act, and then try to deal as much damage within this time frame as possible. The issue with this approach is if you're against a much higher rated player, the time frame will be smaller for you, right? Because the enemy will catch up faster if he is significantly higher rated compared to being equally rated. So the time frame in which you can act is smaller, and also your job is not to win. Your job is not to deal any real damage. Your job is to not lose. Your job is to prevent Dealy from completely crushing your team, right? Your job is that there are no 30 restros coming to the enemy base or to your base and completely crushing your team and ends the game. That is your job. So when in this situation, I would act differently. I wouldn't focus on a specific time frame. I try to prevent any form of catastrophe at any point of the game. I don't want to extremely lose early on, and I don't want to extremely lose later on. I want to be at all times a bit behind Dealy. That's the best case, because then Dealy will never have the big advantage and can never completely crush the enemy team. He will maybe send a few torps and he will maybe make a few gunships, but he will never be completely crushing the team. And that's your job, right? Like if you manage that Dealy doesn't completely fuck the enemy team over or your team over, then you've did everything anyone could ever ask you, right? It's completely fine to lose. That's the balance part of it, right? The question, like, you just don't want to lose extremely hard. So in order to achieve that, you want to basically mimic what Dealy is doing. So when Dealy is doing another air factory, you go for another air factory. If Dealy is going for another max, you go for another max. That way you can basically at all times mimic his time frame. And then you are constantly behind, probably because you're just a weak player, but you're never so far behind that he can heavily abuse it. And that's the main goal. Because now you're seeing that you're on 150 mass income and Dili is on 190 mass income, and you are also behind on ASF count, I think. Yeah, you're behind on ASF count and you're behind on eco, and you have 4 factories and Dili has 5 factories. So, or this is even a Tech 2 factory, so it's equal. Like, he's equal or ahead, and that's problematic. And the reason why that actually happened is because you aimed for an early time frame, but you didn't exactly know how to, or knew how to do that, and so that shrinks your time frame you can abuse early on. And then Dili is also just a better player, and you made a Tech 3 mix, and all those things caused you to be behind on eco, but never having the ability to actually abuse the time, to actually abuse the air advantage in a given time frame. So that's really problematic, right? So it's better to just mimic what Dili does, and then you never run into the issue. So now you're fighting air, and I don't agree with it, because as I've said, your job is not winning, your job is not losing. If you just stay here, it's totally fine. You don't have to fight, because as soon as you fight, you make every problem you probably have infinitely worse. Because when you're complaining about a few gunships that are here, and then you fight air, like in 3 to 4 minutes there will be way more gunships, because he won air, and he now knows that I have air control and that you have nothing to counter my gunships or whatever, right? So fighting air is never a good idea. So now top is lost. Like, yes, Dili air assault is here, but this doesn't matter. So top pond isn't lost because of you. It's lost because of Gulmo sleeping to the Tech 2 push. So yeah, this isn't your fault, but surely you could have played better, and your situation doesn't help it, right? So now VIP has to try to push, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to win the bottom pond as fast as possible to so both teams have the same tactical advantage. So now, what would your approach be? You're behind on production, you're behind on eco, a bit at least, and you're behind on ASF count because you fought air. What is the right solution to it? Your reaction is, oh, I lost air, I have to ramp up my production to compensate for that. The issue with that is you won't be able to keep up with his production. Like, he has more eco, so if he wants, he can have more ASF. And the thing is, now you have to ask yourself, like, sometimes it's useful to just pause all your air factories and go full eco, because you're losing air anyway. And if you're losing by like 30 ASF or 50 ASF, that doesn't really make a huge difference. So you're losing air anyway. Also, if you just spam air here, you're losing air. So why do you spam air? It's way better to 100% focus on eco, and then you obviously risk losing air in a certain time frame, but you also gain the hope, at least, to get ahead at some point. if you go now just for heavy air, you will probably be for a longer time equal to his air or a bit behind. The issue is that you're gonna fall off later on. So I think it's better to, or at least to consider doing that, right? It's also in your position, it's probably better to keep making air, because your job is, as I've said, not to lose. So even if you never gain the ability back to have more ASF than the enemy, you're still doing your job, right? When I'm playing, I have to win. Like, that's my job. Like, I really have to win my lane. So if I'm in such a situation, I have to go for a risky move to get the ability back to probably win air later on. But you can do that. It's not a horrible move, but it's just a pathway you probably want to consider when you're playing against equally rated opponents. So you're evading the air fight, that's good. You always want to evade the air fights. And yes, there are restros, but you don't fight. You just stay close, but you never fight air. That's what you have to do. So overall, your eco balance looks pretty good. Like, you're spending all your mass, and yeah, so that's pretty good. At this point, I would just reclaim those Tech 3 engineers in your main base, because they just cause pathfinding issues, and yeah. So now Gulmu donated a lot of mass to you, and that's actually very important, so that you can try to catch up here. But as I've said, I would have put more into eco and continued to eco more. Also, generally speaking, it's a good approach to keep your ASF between the front line and his gunships. Like, keep your ASF something like here. So the gunships can't immediately run in, and you also don't fight, but you just have some security here. If you're here, you're completely out of position when they attack. So Mice is doing the right thing. He's going to the bottom pond to put pressure here. So now you can move there, but you should never fight, right? You shouldn't fight, because you're just gonna throw away your air again. And then what will happen is this, where, like, you will always stay behind in ASF count as long as you keep fighting. Even if you have a bigger production, and even if you have like more ASF per second you produce, even then will constantly fall back to zero, and he will trade more efficiently, and the lead you probably have in production is thrown away or neglected by him trading more efficiently, and it will always cause you being behind. The only way you can probably cross over and actually win is if you stop fighting air. So never fight air, like really never fight air when you're not sure that you're going to win. But you're doing it correctly in this case. You're close, but you never really fight air. So that's generally speaking a good move. And you're making strats here. So why do you make strats? You make strats because you want to win. You want to have these strats to bump his build power or whatever. And that is a direct attempt to win. You are not supposed to win. You are supposed to not lose. And these ASF bring these strats gets you further away from the goal of not losing air. So don't make these strats. It's not your job to kill this factory. It's not your job to kill the build power. And especially in this situation where VIP is so massively ahead that you know already that this pond is 100% won. Like there's nothing really, even with these restros, there's nothing really that can stop VIP here from winning. So there's no need for these strats. So you can like when you're really trying, you should spend your mass a bit more, like making more maxes. And also, I'm not a fan of scaling your second air grid here that early. Like, a second air grid is always less efficient than one big air grid. The reason for that is, if you place a factory here, you get immediately the adjacency bonus. If you place a factory here, you have either no adjacency bonus, or in order to gain that adjacency bonus, you have to make another pigeon. So a big air grid is always more efficient than two small air grids. So now VIP is comfortably winning here. And eco-wise, the gap didn't widen, and that's really valuable, because now you have 100 ASF, DD has 70 ASF, but 18 restros. So he's ahead, right? He's a bit ahead, but it's not drastically. It's not that he can like go wherever he wants and kill VIP Navy and whatever. No, it's pretty good situation. The eco, you're a bit behind, and the ASF, you're a bit behind, and that causes Daily to not be so far behind that he can actually abuse it. And now you're sending your strats in to do damage to the build power that is already dying. Like, you have to ask yourself, like, there's one battleship and a close to dead factory. Here are 5 battleships, 4 battleships and 2 cruisers, 2 carriers. So this is unwinnable or unrescuable for the bottom team. You don't need these strats. And if you use strats, then use one strat like here, or one strat here. But you're sending it immediately into the air player. And like this is 3,500 mass, which is just wasted. And on top of that, you are going to fight air now. And that's even worse. Like, why do you fight air? You are behind in air, so you never fight air. Like, VIP needs to protect himself. It's not your job to never allow daily to do anything to VIP, right? Like, you are 800 rating behind, and VIP is 1000 rating ahead. So obviously VIP has to make up for the difference in skill from the air player. So it's not your job here to protect him from any occurrence of any air to ground units. VIP needs to protect himself, and you shouldn't fight here. And you're making multiple things. You're making an SMD so early that costs 7,500 mass, and you're making a Tech 3 shield which costs 2,400 mass, so that's 9,000 mass. You are putting 9,000 mass into an SMD and a shield while not being full Tech 3. That is bad. On top of that, you're having a Tech 3 shield here. You only need a Tech 2 shield here. Like, you save so many resources, like 2,000 mass, and let's be real, you don't need a Tech 3 shield. It's overkill. Like, the shield, generally speaking, just has to protect you from a few strats. Just so 2 strats can't kill your SMD, but you need a bigger investment. Two shields are in most cases totally enough. And you keep suiciding your air. I think it's because you're emotional and you think like, oh, I lost air, and oh no, now VIP is under pressure. That's my fault, so let me try to help. But you're not helping. You're just making things worse. Like, all those ASF you ran in did basically 0 damage. Also, I'm usually like the TMD is fine probably, but I wouldn't make so many PDs. Like, for what? For teleboys there has to be like quantum gateway, and like, who wants to telesnipe your SMD at minute 25 and nobody has quantum gateways? The rock player is on basically full Tech 2 eco. Like, this isn't going to happen. You just can't be greedy on this, and you don't have to make tele defense now. You should make it in the late game, but not currently. Like, all those, especially when you're behind, right? When you're behind, you have to be super effective to be able to catch up. That's why I said, like, just pause all your air factories, right? You just have to be super greedy and super efficient in everything you do to make up for the difference and to catch up. So now bottom pond is won and top pond is lost. The mid is a bit more destroyed than this mid, but overall it's a very balanced game at this point. Both have the same mass income more or less. Both have the same power income more or less. So it's very equal here. Now you have to ask yourself, is the position as an air player still the valid position? Like, obviously you're supposed to make air, but you're also seeing he's making Tech 3 engineers here. And this usually means that there is something going on, like tech force. And you have to ask yourself, because you are basically the defense position, right? Like mid and beach usually dies just by battleships. I have no clue how this can even work, but usually those two slots are out of the game. So now it's just the air player and the rock player, and ideally the same is happening here. So now your task in this game is a bit different. The first priority is that this rock player can't overrun you. That's the highest goal. And the rock player has to put everything into land invasion or whatever to try to overrun this. So now you have to reconsider probably your task in this game and might think, oh, do I have to maybe make a GC or something? You probably don't need to do that now because Gulmu is holding quite well, and there's no real danger of a T4, like there's basically no build power, but that's just something you want to keep in mind. So yeah, you delayed these two Tech 3 Maxes. I don't know if you forget about them, that can happen. But you delayed them very heavily. That's not really good. Also, making an air grid down here while you're having space up here when one side is already lost, that's very dangerous. And yeah, so VIP is thinking the same as what I've said. He says to make a GC because probably he has spotted that he's making a chicken here. So that's what I mean, right? Your task isn't mainly doing air anymore. It's mainly defending against the land invasion. But the same is true for Dili, right? And you have a lot of mass. I don't know if you got, yeah, you got it donated from VIP, so that's not an issue on your side. So that everything looks fine. A Tech 3 shield. Well, one Tech 3 shield is fine, I guess, if you place it smart, so that that most of your air is or your grid is covered. Like, why don't you place it like this? Then you, well, maybe you don't have these mass fed covered, but you have your air grid covered, and that's more important. Also, another thing is to consider dropping here. Like, look how much reclaim there is. There's 100k reclaim, and you can also apply pressure here with going for a land invasion. As long as you can secure this, you are basically free to do whatever you want. You can do a land invasion and you can make GCs, but you can also try to win with air, right? Like, current air situation is 100 ASF for you and Dili with 71 ASF and 13 Restros. So currently it's pretty equal. And the eco situation is also pretty equal. So with all the mass you've got donated and the TMD Dili had to build and stuff, you actually manage to equal it out. And that's already really, really good. Like if you're equal to a 2200 at any stage of the game, that's very good. Like you're never supposed to be in that situation. Well, you just wasted all your ASF advantage. That was probably not so smart to park your ASF right above the ACU. But yeah, so you defend the land invasion successfully. And now it's VIP turn to make this tactical advantage into something helpful. Now you're asking if you want to go for a Paragon together. And I don't like this plan, because a Paragon is then good if the situation is like equal and not dynamic anymore, if it's becomes static, right? Like this land invasion doesn't progress, this land invasion doesn't progress, or you have two big navy fights and nobody really makes any progress. Then you can make a Paragon. In this situation, everything is open. Like you can do everything. There is roughly no defense here. Like he just starts to build a few PDs. There are basically no SAMs. Like if you wouldn't have suicided your air, you could have just made a few strat snipe this whole air grid. You could make a GC down here to overwhelm this position, or go here like this. Like you have so many options. You're completely free in what you can do, because the game is still dynamic. You don't need a Paragon, and instead of investing 250,000 mass into a Paragon, it might be better to have like 10 GCs running down here, right? So I'm not a fan in this situation of making a Paragon. Like, I mean, you see, even a few Tech 1 arties currently overwhelm this position. Now imagine what multiple GCs do. So you get a lot of mass donated and you put it into GCs. That's fine. You save this area with the GCs. And he has currently only one chicken. So you're perfectly fine for now. So you should basically invest as much as you need in defending, and everything else should go here. Everything of your mass should be going here, and try to apply pressure to Delhi. Try to break this airbase, and once this airbase is broken, it becomes extremely hard to win the game. So that's the main objective, to win this airbase. And as long as you don't lose your own airbase, you can use all your resources against this. Yeah, at some point you want to add some redundancy. At some point you want to add some more SMDs, yeah. So now you're seeing here is a chicken, but you don't react. this GC, like you have to split, like this GC doesn't do anything here. You should be basically positioned like this, because then you can quickly go here. This is also protected and you can quickly go here, right? You want to be flexible in your positioning. And now you have the waypoint here, but the waypoint should be here, because you know that this chicken is going here. And if you now walk like this, you are trying to catch up later on. If you immediately walk like this, you basically cut him off. So yeah, that's you could have prevented that by just placing your GCs better here, right? Always consciously place your GCs and not have one randomly here and one here and then something like this here, right? Try to maintain the flexibility of the position. And now there will be an air fight. And you actually have a great first engage, and this great first engage allows you to win. So you're using stop command, and that's not perfect, but it's fine. Probably I will do some air micro tutorial at some point, but it's too big of a topic to discuss it quickly here. So stop micro is perfectly fine for the time being. But yeah, as you did, you want to make, after the stop command, at some point waypoints, so that the ASF gets concentrated again. And now, yeah, when you win air, you want to abuse it immediately. Like, make something to abuse your air advantage. And also, now you have an idle GC here. Place it here. And yeah, so this is also a bad situation. Like, this should or could have killed your whole air grid here. Like, you're stalling so heavily on, I don't know what you're building. Like, pause all your air factories. You have to pause all your air factories. That's priority number one. Yeah, those can probably make Tech 1 bombers, even though there's Tech 3 MAF and Seraphim, and it's pretty OP. So yeah, I mean, it was already spotted like here. If you would have placed your GC like here, you could have done this. But yeah. So the GC placement, to be flexible and to be able to react quickly to everything that's happening, is very important. And now, like, also after the air fight, you immediately start spamming more factories. Like, you have one factory here, that's good, but make like 3 or 4. You want to reclaim it as quickly as possible. And now, like, he's focusing this P-gen instead of like here. So this is a giant blunder of him. Like, your whole air grid should die here. And now he's like moving away instead of killing this P-gen and then this. And then he's not even killing this, but he's focusing this. Like, that's so lucky for you. I mean, in the end, he basically did a very low amount of damage compared to what could have been done. Now you switch to giant amount of Tech 3 engineers. Well, yeah, you need Tech 3 engineers to rebuild, but you don't need that many. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty bad thing. I mean, you shouldn't have started the Paragon in the first place, but yeah.
Strategischer Start geortet.
So now your game plan is to make a Paragon, and I think that's way too early. Like there's still so much potential to deal damage to the enemy that a Paragon isn't needed yet. Like you could still, like if you would put all this mass into pushing daily, you would win. The Tsar, that's a good decision because you just won air. But you're making like 2 Paragons at the same time, so that's a pretty big issue here. So in these type of situations, you like it's very difficult to teach something because like when I have a like at minute 3 everything is pretty much the same because there is no real interactions with the players. But as the game progresses, these interactions and these like entanglements just become bigger and bigger and bigger. So I try to teach now like some meta thinking, some thinking which so the first task is to scout and analyze the current situation. You're seeing nothing. You don't have a really good intel on what's going on, right? Like you don't know all this, and you also don't know what's going on here. So that's a real issue because you cannot see what the enemy is planning, and you can also not identify the weak spots of the enemy to base your own planning on that. So you always have to scout first, and then you have to analyze the current situation. First of all, it's probably the best to analyze the current situation, to analyze your own weak spots, and you like try to find where you are lacking something. And currently there are 2 chickens and you have 2 GCs, so that's fine. And air situation is also fine. You're ahead in air. You just won air, so that's also fine. You have SMDs, and well, the second SMD died, but you have SMDs, and nukes aren't the problem here either. But now look at the eco difference. You are significantly behind in eco. That's your weak spot, and the question is how to tackle that now. The weak spot is basically or how to tackle this weak spot. You can be very, very glad that 400 of this mass income is in this guy who is basically idle. Like he's making a GC, but for most of the time he's idle. So that is basically not used mass. And on top of that, you see this. Like he's not using his mass either. Now imagine this team would just put everything they have into units and would put everything they have into actually damaging you. well, then what's happening is that you're just simply losing. So you have basically, I mean, now it's very equal just because they don't use their eco. So when you now spam a lot of units, then you might be able to get a reclaim field and base your reclaim field on, first you destroy their eco, and second you gain eco from the reclaim, and then you can shift the balance and maybe you can snowball from there on. So that's an option. So VIP's Tsar is nearly finished. But yeah, find your own weak spots and then find the enemy weak spots. So the enemy weak spots is, there's basically nothing shielded. Also, not the nuke launcher isn't shielded. And there's only one SMD. There's no redundancy. There's no SAMs, no shields. Like, there's nothing to defend against a Tsar or to defend against any kind of air. Yeah, and I mean, you don't know what is there. You identified the issue. If you don't know what is there, you know that you haven't scouted. So what you're doing is scouting. So here's nothing. This is completely, you can easily kill all of this. So these are the weak spots you want to abuse, right? Then here are weak spots. Like, here's nothing. Like, if you have a GC, you can just run here through here. If you have a GC, you can walk like this, right? Or you can also walk like this. Like, there are so many possibilities to actually deal damage to the enemy. You can also, like VIP had a nuke sub, move the nuke sub here, kill the SMD with the Tsar, and then you can even progress with the Tsar to kill pigeons and whatnot, and then the nuke does the rest. Like, you can find the weak spots of the enemy and base your game plan on that. But if you don't scout to the beginning with, you can't do that. You can't develop these strategies, and you will be much less efficient. But as I've just showed you, you have a lot of potential to actually damage the enemy, and now you have to abuse it. So this Tsar movement is very bad. Like, I mean, yes, there is nothing to defend, but it's harder to go like here than to go here, because first of all, it's just a better player. Then it's a more condensed area, so this is a larger area than this, so a SAM can easily protect more percent of the total space they have to protect. And yeah, it's also in deeper territory, and deeper territory tends to just be harder to get through. So now VIP gave you the Tsar, and what now? Like, what do you want to do with it? And as I've said, you want to go here. You want to harass the rogue player. And in doing so, you always want to have your ASF between the ASF of the Tsar, between the ASF and the Tsar, right? Because then, like, let's say his ASF are here, your ASF are here, and here's the Tsar. Like, if he wants to kill the Tsar, there's no way around it. Like, he has to fight you. If he moves like this, you move like this, and you have a short way. and so there's no way he can actually kill the Tsar if he doesn't fight air. And as we already established, you have the air control, so you're comfortably. You just have to stay between the Tsar and his ASF. And now what you're doing now is you're completely neglecting your Tsar in order to kill a few threats. But let's think that through. Daily, like, he fought this for no reason at all. He could have just gone here, killed the Tsar, and retreat again. And then you might have killed all these threats, but all these threats would have been dead for daily. But still, it's a good trade. Now, when you run into this, you also risk to getting catch from behind or from the side, and you have a very bad trade, and you potentially lose the air. And then the Tsar is 100% dead, and also the threats are probably still alive. The thing is, protecting your Tsar is more important, because when you protect your Tsar, the Tsar can immediately apply damage. If those threats don't die, they have to travel for like 2 or 3 minutes until they can inflict any damage. And in the meantime, you have produced so much air that you can defend here against these threats. So don't risk it. Don't risk your Tsar for something that you can defend anyway. Now you're winning air, and that's huge. I mean, you're not fighting in the right spot. In my opinion, you shouldn't do that. You should still be here, because even then it's harder to reclaim compared to here. So what you want to do now is you want to kill the SMD and then focus the pigeons. You want to focus the SMD because VIP has a nuke sub. Otherwise you want to focus the pigeons first. So now it's always good to have multiple scouts patrolling like this, because then you can see from all angles where his ASF are coming, and then you can prevent the ASF from dealing any damage to the Tsar. So now a big issue is you power stalled, and the Tsar has a shield. Right. So you lose a lot of hit points for no reason. And now you're forgetting about it. That's #1 priority. Stay at your Tsar. So yeah, it's the right decision here to retreat the Tsar and to wait for the regen of the Tsar, of the shield. So the Paragon is nearly finished, and now strats are coming. And what you're doing now is you're moving all your air here. But when this air arrives, these threads are dead
Strategischer
anyway.
Start geortet.
Like there are SAMs, there are restors, there are reinforcement ASFs. Like you don't need to move any of these ASF at all. The problem is you ignore this. You still have to secure your ZAR. Just protect it. Just keep your ASF here, and this should do the rest. That is way better, because now all your ASF move, the threads are dead, and you're not even there yet. And now Dealy can just go like this and kill your ZAR. So don't overreact to things when they come your way. So the Paragon is finished, and now what is the task? Your task is to donate all these factories immediately to VIP, so that VIP can make as much build power as fast as possible. And your job here is to make your new HQ, because you have to donate your HQ as well as the support factories. You make a new HQ here, because you will get all this eco. So now you have to spend also a lot of mass and a lot of power, and you need also a lot of build power. The problem is that you're not gifting these factories. Like, once the Paragon is finished, the only bottleneck is build power. So you really want to give them the factories so you can make build power. And now this giant land invasion comes your way, and this could have been prevented just by you scouting it. Right? So VIP is making GCs, which is fine. Even though ZARs are probably the better solution here.
Strategischer Start geortet.
And yeah, now it's really a time issue. Like, now time is the limiting factor. It's not mass or power anymore, because you have a Paragon. It's only time and build power, but build power is also related to time. So yeah.
Strategischer Start geortet.
So he's making a rapid fire artillery, like a salvation. I would make another ZAR. Like, I wouldn't risk this. And you're kinda more or less out of the game. Like, you have barely any build power left. So that's an issue here. You need to scale up. Like, even if you make here navy factories or something, but you need to start scale up your build power again, so you can use this mass. Because now you're just watching what happens, right? Like, you have these ASFs, but other than that, you're kinda out of the game. So what you want to do with these ASFs now is you want to really focus them, so that you're always between his ASF and the Paragon. The same logic as if you would protect a ZAR, right? You would just not want him to be able to pass you. So now this is a very good situation, because I mean there's a Paragon started, but this should be 100% one. Like, this lead invasion won't do anything anymore. This is protected, and you have a Paragon. But for some reason, and I don't know why, VIP doesn't get the thought that he might want to make build power. He has a Paragon and he doesn't think about making build power. I have no clue why. Like, really, like if he just spams a few factories, like he will scale so much quicker. Like he will just have access to like 3,000 or 4,000 more mass. That's enormous.
Strategischer Start geortet.
Also, you don't really, like, the problem is, if you're having a salvation, you need something to aim for. And there was very little scouting for the last time. Like, if you compare these, I mean, it's probably fine, but a lot has developed here, I would say. So make sure you scout regularly. So the salvation has actually targets. And yeah, that's right. You have to cover the Paragon. Like, don't care about this. This bug should never be there. So don't go there and protect it, especially with all these SAMs. Like, what is this Ripper supposed to do? There's so many SAMs. Like, obviously it's gonna instantly die. Also, protect making GCs is a wrong move, I would say. Just either make a ZAR or just keep spamming salvations. And you see, like, he's spending 1.7k mass. Like, bro, you have a Paragon, you need to spend 10,000, and he doesn't even start to make build power here. Like, this is such a huge blunder. Like, it's not even that he's not trying to spend the Paragon. Like, there's so many idle engineers. There are no factories producing more engineers. This is a giant blunder. Like, he could have had already like 5 salvations. And also, he's making restores. Like, why don't you make strats? At this stage of the game, with so many SAMs, first of all, doing air with so many SAMs isn't a good option anyway. But even then, why do you make restores? Like, there are so many SAMs, though they won't deal a giant amount of damage. You can just hope to make strats and then have one big pass, and that works. But yeah, you're kind of out of the game. Like, you're not doing anything anymore. You're moving a bit your air, but other than that, you're doing nothing anymore. You should at least try to spam some build power or whatever. You can try to drop here, get reclaim, and try to make anything happening, even though in this stage of the game you probably won't be really effective here. But just try to keep playing here, even though it's actually just a game VIP versus the rest at this point. But VIP is just not playing correctly. Like, he has a Paragon for like 5 minutes or something, and he's still not spending his mass, not even half of the Paragon. And also, like, why doesn't he make scout play? Well, I mean, he has them queued up, but way too late. Like, you need to scout this, man. Also, you have to ask yourself, like, why are they keep playing? Like, if they would only have this land invasion, the game would be over. Like, obviously. So why do they keep playing? Like, obviously they have something going on for them. Like this. And like, VIP is still making GCs. Like, for what? And now there's no, like, he's assisting, but this can't work out. And there's still not a single attempt to make build power. Like, why don't you try to make build power when you have a Paragon? And obviously, when you don't have build power, you will eventually get overwhelmed with the shield assisting. And also, you can't spend your mass, so you don't have as many salvations, and the enemy can actually repair the shields. So once this Paragon was finished, the game was actually won. But VIP, I don't know, like, he didn't manage to properly use this Paragon. Like, a Paragon is so fucking OP. Like, once a Paragon is online, if it doesn't get sniped within the first 5 minutes, and even then, it's 100% GG. But VIP managed to not use it. Like, they still don't know anything. Like, you still don't know where the Paragon is, or where the Salvation, or whatever. Now he starts to scout. But that's already too late. And now the Paragon is dead. And VIP is dead too. Like, this is such a blunder, man. Like, he threw this. And yeah, I mean, at this point, it's over. Like, I mean, their Paragon dies too. But it will be extremely hard to win this at this point. You can try to make some shields, to rush some shields so your salvations stay alive, while his salvations doesn't stay alive. But I don't think that you can really rescue this. Also, like, why do you move the restorers here? There are so many SAMs. You could move the restorers here and do at least some damage. But you moved it there where the most SAMs are. So that's not so really efficient. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of over. Like, at this point, there's nothing going on for you. Like, they have 2 bases, you have 2 mixes. Like, this is nothing. You have half a rock base. And VIP blaming you, that's unfair. Like, the game wasn't lost because of you. Mainly the game was lost because of VIP in the end. Like Gulmu played it badly, but your team was still in the position to win this game. But VIP just threw this Paragon away, so yeah. So now this is just a formality. Like, this is crazy. There are 2 salvations and he's bombing the GCs and this support ACUs. $1,800, by the way. He found the salvation, man. Good job. But yeah, so at this point the game is over and there's nothing you can do anymore. Like, I mean, yes, even if you kill the Paragon, there's no SMD and you can you're close to having a nuke. But even then, like, what's coming after that? Like, you have nothing going on. So this is just a formality now. So I think this is it. Like, I think I've covered everything I wanted to say, and I hope you learned from it. I went more into detail and made a bit more thoughts than I usually do, and I would appreciate if you could give feedback to that. Like, are these graphics helping you to understand what I mean? Or should I just do it as a one take and just watch it as a one take and don't prepare anything or whatever? So give feedback to that, and I hope you could learn something, and see you next time.